Oh, thank you so much, Melissa. Perfect. Okay. All right, how we doing? Oh, geez. For those of you who just joined us after closed session, I'm Jeff Como, Board President. I'd like to introduce my fellow trustees, Lisa Pelosi, Jeannie Kerr, Maria Haug, and Julio Oguin. And joining us tonight is our student representative to the board, Ms. Sammy Raven. Thank you for joining us. I'd also like to introduce our excellent district staff, Superintendent Dr. Mary Lou Wilson. Thank you. Chief Business Official, Ms. Andy Stubbs, Chief Academic Human Resources Officer, Mr. Chris Heller, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent and the Governing Board, Ms. Erica Madrigal, and Executive Assistant to the Chief Academic Human Resources Officer, Ms. Melissa Hansen. We're delighted you're here with us. It's always nice to have some people in the room since our closed session is always empty. And we can see us on channel 27 or our new YouTube channel. A copy of this board meeting video will also be available on our website at www.sthelinaunified.org. In conjunction with closed sessions items A and B, the board received information and staff provided the board received information from staff and provided direction. In conjunction with closed session item C, the board considered an administration's recommendation to expel one student. The expulsion includes a stipulated suspension that allows a student to enroll in another school outside of the school district. If the student complies with the provisions of the expulsion and the rehabilitation plan, he would receive consideration to re-enroll in November of 2018. 19. Okay, 2019. I just saw that and I was like, okay. I will accept a motion to expel student number 2461 as specified in the stipulation.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. At this time, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are on to item number 6A, which is public comments at board meetings. The information will be up on the board. Please remember this is a public comment on anything that is not on the agenda tonight. Does anybody wish to approach the board for something? Mr. Haslip.
I am Jim Haslip. I'm the representative from this area on the county board, and I thought I should make kind of an official stop by to say hello more formally, because I kept running into all of you every place I go, because we're going to the same places for the same reasons, to learn about how we can make our schools better. And you have one of the most active superintendents that is in the state, because every place I go, she's there, and all of you too. So I just want to compliment you for the wonderful job you're doing, and just touch base with the things that we overlap. For example, you just suspended somebody. We're going to get that student perhaps if the youngster is grade 7 or grade 7 or older, and hopefully we will do so well with them that you'll be delighted when the student comes back. So we get those, and then we have your culinary program at the high school, and then we consult about special education, and we have a preschool program. And I know there's been some effort in the past, a few years ago, to look at possibly putting the program on one of your campuses, and there was problems with that. So as the representative of your area, I'm looking into that, because I'm trying to understand what the holdups were, because it seemed like everybody was considering doing it, but there was problems. So I'm going to try to look at that. But also Calistoga, and we have a preschool there, and we're moving that to the fairgrounds. So. If things come up that relate to countywide efforts, such as staff development or anything that you would like to have, make sure you have somebody that has the ear of the school board and the county superintendent. That's supposed to be my job. So I thought I'd stop base and say hi, and again, compliment you for being, I brag about St. Helena being the best school district that I know about anywhere. So, and you are a big part of the reason for that. So, I just want to say hi.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your kind words. Anyone else like to address the board on public comment for an item not on the agenda? Okay, that brings us to item number 7, presentation by the student representative of the board. Ms. Sammy Rabin, please.
Thank you, and bear with me, I'm a little bit sick, so I'm sorry. But to start off, I visited Miss Levine's first grade class, and they showed me about the Dia de los Muertos art projects that they've been working on. So for this art project, they made skulls and learned about the traditions of the holiday and why it is so meaningful in Mexican culture. They also told me about a field trip that they took to Bothe Park on October 30th, where they made face paint and walked around the park and looked for the different wildlife that was living in the creeks. And that helped them kind of learn about like how the cleanliness of the environment helps to sustain the wildlife. And the students also told me about the math strategies that they've been working on. Recently, they've been doing the Make a 10 strategy, which helps them count from 0 to 10 fluently without using their fingers. And they graph their progress every Friday. So you can see on the sheet there, that's them seeing how far they got. They're trying to reach 20 without stopping. So then at the elementary school, the 5th grade students participated in the Age of Sail field trip, which reinforces U.S. history and the Earth System Science Unit, as they pretended to be sailors from a long time ago, which is always a lot of fun. And the Student Council began their junior coaching program by teaching and encouraging playing 3 games. So far, they've been doing 2 running games and Foursquare. And this has increased the amount of exercise the students are getting and the engagement of students in playing with all the different grades of groups, sometimes up to 60 people at a time, which is really great. And also, the students will vote on November 6th for their favorite of 6 different yearbook covers, which you can see in those pictures. So then at the RLS, they had their Haunted Hospital event on October 30th that was put on by the leadership class. And it took place during the first 4 periods of the day. And all the students went through it during their PE classes. And I actually got the chance to go through it. And I must say, I was scared. So it was great. Also, the RLS had their Powder Puff game a few weeks ago on October 25th, in which the 7th and 8th graders played against each other, and the 7th graders ended up winning 2-1, which was an upset. And there is an anti-vaping campaign going on to educate the students about the dangers of vaping and why it's especially dangerous for teenagers and young adults. And this is being shown through various posters that have been posted all over the campus, just increasing awareness. And finally, at the high school, homecoming has ended. It went really well. It seems like all the students really enjoyed the float building and the different events that were planned throughout the week. The dance had the highest attendance ever, with almost 300 students in attendance, which was a really good sign. And all the students in the community seemed to like the floats, and it was just a really good year. The spirit was really high this year, I think. And now we're kind of entering a lull for the rest of the year after homecoming, definitely starting to slow down before Thanksgiving break. But Student Congress will be meeting on the 29th of November, and in this meeting we will be working on how we can honor diversity on campus and just really get more student involvement with that and get the opinions of different groups on campus. And yeah, overall, students and teachers are very ready for Thanksgiving break to just have a break before finals. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. And Sammy, if there's any time that you need to step out, please. Okay. Presentation by the Robert Louis Stevenson Middle School RLS Associated Student Body. Ms. Corinne, or who's Vicky Sims.
Actually, the whole ASB is going to...
Right, okay, perfect. Oh, they got the plan.
Wait, do I have to hold it? Okay. I can't.
Have it down.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, my name is Helma Jimenez, and I'm in 8th grade, and I'm the president. And okay.
My name is Talia Ritchie. I'm the vice president.
My name is Erin Reese, and I'm the secretary.
My name is Sebastian Gallegos, and I'm the treasurer. My name's Jessica Vega Zepeda, and I'm the Spirit Director / Rally Commissioner.
And I'm Haven Demchuk, and I'm also the Rally Commissioner / Spirit Director.
This year at the RLS, we're trying to make our school spirit higher, because in the past years we haven't had like a lot of spirit at our school. So this year we had a successful dance in September.
Yes.
September. It was our back to school dance. And then we had, like you guys saw, the haunted hospital this past month. And yeah, we're trying to plan things for every month, but not like overdo it. And we had a spirit week the same week that the high school had theirs, so we were kind of like on their schedule, but not really. And like we had our powder puff day game during lunch on Thursday. Yeah. Do you guys want to add anything?
Is that all? I think that's it.
Huh?
That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, but before you go, wait a minute. Before you go, come on through. Say hello.
I didn't know.
Just walk off.
Hi, thanks for coming. I like those sweatshirts. Thank you. Hi. Hi, thank you for coming. Thanks so much. Hi. Oh, thanks. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thank you for coming.
Oh yeah, photo, where do you want us?
Come this way.
Oh, we need. Okay, RLS, do you want us up around with you, or yeah?
Stay back here, but together. Sure. Okay. We just kind of blend in, right?
Thank you.
Of course. Okay, we're on to items number 7C, which is presentation by the Future Farmers of America. Officers, please.
Good evening. My name is Alexis Bautista, and I am this year's Salina FFA president. I would like to take this time on behalf of the teachers and students of the agriculture education classes and the FFA to thank all of you for your generation support of our program. It is because of your time, dedication, and commitment to student achievement that it is a success. Tonight we will be presenting information about the courses that we offer, the opportunities that are available through agriculture education and the FFA, and our programs focus on student chapter and community development.
Hello, my name is Sitlali Garcia, and I'm serving as this year's chapter reporter. I'll be talking about the ag courses. So the classroom and laboratory instruction is the foundation of all ag courses across the nation. And content is made real by learn by doing philosophy. Most of the courses offered in the ag department are college prep and UC approved. Plus, they meet the UC and CSU requirements, which is a plus for us. The curriculum presented in these classes is equivalent to non-ag courses in regards to college prep requirements within lab science, social science, fine arts, and college prep electives. Because these follow standards as non-ag classes, students have done very well with state standardized testing. In addition to the college prep classes, the ag program offers a variety of classes that offer career tech education credits. These courses have tremendously been enhanced by our new facilities, so thank you very much for all of that. So students also have a variety of opportunities to incorporate ag courses into their schedules, thus giving them a chance to be members of the National FFA Organization like us. Thank you.
A benefit of being enrolled in agriculture education class is an opportunity for students to be involved in the FFA, which is the largest youth-run leadership organization in the United States. Through FFA, students have the opportunity to participate in leadership conferences, career development events, and speaking contests at all levels. These events take them throughout the state of California to compete and meet with members. Students are able to earn awards and recognition with their skills developed through FFA, which help them when filling out scholarship applications and applying for college. Skills learned in FFA, like public speaking, are lifelong and help students in their future careers. The FFA motto, learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve, exemplifies the impact made in countless members' lives each year. We were happy to have 240 students at St. Helena High School in agriculture education classes this year, filling 308 seats in the 16 offered ag classes each week. The National FFA Organization is an opportunity for students to develop their potential for premier leadership, personal growth, and career success through agricultural education. Students have the opportunity to participate in public speaking events through FFA. Next week, we will take over 30 students to the Sonoma section speaking contest, and all teams come back with either a silver or gold award. Students are able to take the skills learned in the classroom and apply them to many career development event competitions. Students are also recognized through their achievements through the degree program. With the degrees come requirements that must be met. This upcoming year, we will have around 125 students receiving their Green Hand Chapter and State FFA degrees. This past October, we had one student, Justin Davis, class of 2016, receive their American degree, the highest degree offered in the FFA at the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis, Indiana.
There you go, Justin.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Rios, and I am serving this year as a St. Helena FFA Chapter Treasurer. Supervised agricultural experience programs are projects where students apply concepts learned in the classroom to real-life business and work. They are curriculum-based and student-managed. Student achievements are recognized through degree and award programs. At St. Helena High School, we have numerous opportunities for student projects such as those listed above. We have over 100 students who are currently participating in projects outside of class time and who are completing proficiency award applications to be recognized for their work at the local, section, regional, and state levels. Personally, I am very interested in the viticulture field. I participated in an internship with the Napa Valley Grape Growers Foundation this summer, which lasted 8 weeks. I got to learn about the wine industry at 3 different wineries, of which included Joseph Phelps, Visa Tui, and Walsh Vineyard Management. Another SAE project of mine in the area of animal husbandry is raising hogs and a steer for the Napa Town and Country Fair, as well as working at the pumpkin patch this summer and fall.
Good evening. My name is Hannah Martin, and I am this year's chapter secretary. I'm going to talk about the chapter and community development. We have numerous opportunities for students in the chapter development field. Through the FFA, there is a series of 6 leadership conferences that members can attend. I personally have attended 5 out of the 6, and I am so grateful that I am able to do those. In addition, locally, we have public relation activities and fundraisers. FFA chapter members participate in monthly meetings, leadership workshops, and every other year we have a chance to host guests from afar, such as Australian and Japanese ag student visitors. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Clarissa Hernandez, and I'm the St. Helena FFA Chapter Vice President. Program completers are students who took a sequence of 3 or more classes in the agriculture program, and many are involved in all 4 years of their high school experience. This year, we anticipate having over 100 program completers in our chapter. Each year, it is always exciting to see the many different universities our agriculture students apply to and attend. St. Helena High School students are currently studying at all of the post-secondary schools listed on the screen, as well as many others. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Liesel, and this year I am serving as our FFA Sentinel. And so in FFA we have a variety of community development activities that we participate in, And some of the activities that we participate in is reaching out to local businesses and other schools like the primary for Pumpkin Patch to get ourselves out there and thank the people who have helped us so much. Our goal is to provide service to the community and its members and who have been such a strong support to us so that we can give back to them at public events and provide our support back to them. Some of the examples that we have up here are our Harvest Festival, which recently we had a booth of students working to promote the FFA and get our word out to others around, and as well as selling turkeys to some of our students. Buy turkeys. And my favorite was having the kindergartners come to the pumpkin patch, where we started to teach them about planting, farming, and just kind of get them out on their first field trip and enjoy everything. So thank you.
On behalf of the Salina Ag Department, we would like to thank you for continuing support of our program. Please accept these as a token of our appreciation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Very nice.
Great. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you so much. That's so nice. Thank you. Thank you for
Good to
coming
see
so
you.
much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you for
right.
coming. Thank you for the nice
Picture.
Thank you.
Guys, one more picture.
Okay. Stay right about the list. I got my turkey. I got my turkey. Are we okay here? I mean, they're taller. Maybe we should come around. Okay, okay. Sorry, trying to be speedy. Chris is in the back. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
So I'm going to do about a 3-minute break, and then we'll reconvene. 3-minute break.
I know, these are great.
Super fun.
Yeah. And look at the little dance. Oh my God. Look what we got. Wow. They're nice. Look at that.
Just
A
makes you
lens
want-
and
makes you
swatch.
want to go on the board. It's all the good stuff.
Oh, my magnets.
Oh, wow.
I did buy my turkey and a tree turkey.
Well, have fun.
Oh, cute. Awesome.
Very fun.
Oh, it's my first swag bag.
That's my first swag bag.
It's a momentous occasion.
But you've been to CSBA, right?
Oh, I have, but
Yeah.
that, like, this feels more
Well,
personal.
it should.
I know, it's a really nice bag.
Nice.
I know. Thank you, FFA.
No
Jeez.
kidding.
Oh, I don't need that. I don't want that one.
Okay, we are back in session. It is item number 8 under student learning and achievement. AA is a written report on the district emergency preparedness. I would remind the board this is a written report. Is there anyone who wishes to publicly comment on this agenda item? Trustees, do you have any questions concerning this written report?
I don't have any questions, but my comment is I very much appreciate our entire district's commitment to this. It's I know that there's a lot of moving parts with it, and I know that there's each year there's additions. So I really appreciate that. So thank you very much for all your work on this. It's an important topic.
Totally echo that. I mean, it's a great point. Great point. Okay. We're on to item number 8B, which is a written report on the district student services. Is there anyone present who wishes to publicly comment on this agenda item? Trustees, any questions or comments concerning this item?
I had one question. For when the number of therapists and the number of days at the site. So does that mean, for example, at RLS, that all 3 therapists are there 2 days a week? And I mean, the same kind of question for the...
Just come to the mic, please.
Yeah.
Let's see. So RLS, number of therapists, 3, number of days on site 2. No. We have 3 therapists, and they are not at the site 2 days each. They are at the site 1 day each. So I'm not entirely sure what that means either. I'm sorry that I can't answer that better. It may be a typo, possibly.
Okay.
Possibly, because it should say that we have 3 therapists. Each of them is there for 1 day a week.
Okay.
Thank you. Plus our counselor.
So,
sure.
Yeah. Okay.
And I guess the same question then for the high school. I just didn't know, like, if all 3 are there, 3 or how that works.
No, we have somebody on site.
Come to the microphone, please, Mr. Cinto.
We have somebody on site every single day.
Okay.
So that's kind of spread. I know the therapist there, it's on Monday. She's also there on Friday.
Okay.
And same with a couple of others. But we want to make sure that we have coverage every single day.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I just wanted to make a comment. I just wanted to say thank you for offering the services to the students. I think it's very important right now, especially with everything that's going on outside of school. Thank you to the counselors, the Up Valley Family Center, and then all the mental health agencies that are being part of that process of improving our students' well-being. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Any other questions or comments, trustees? We're on to item number 8, which is presentation on English learners at St. Helena Elementary School. Ms. Tanya Pearson,
Thank you. I look forward to sharing this with you. Excellent. So this is, sorry, right here, the roadmap here for the California English Language Roadmap. There's 3 things that I'm going to highlight from 3 of the 4 principles. So with principle number 1, it's hard to read from here, but that is that principle number 1, that our strategic implementation for supporting English language learners needs to have an assets orientation. So starting with what we know students know and building from where they need to get to, and that it's a needs responsive as well. The highlight that I've put there in red is that the instruction is responsive. It's responsive to the students that we have and the exact needs that they have that continue to develop during the year. And then priority principle number 3, that systems and conditions that support effectiveness. And what I've highlighted is that our capacity building fosters systemic EL support. So what we're doing to build capacity, train our teachers, and foster that over the long haul. And then principle 4, alignment and articulation within and across our systems, that our school system has a coherent approach to EL learning. And the next slides will show evidence to that. Good. So this is who is our population, and just to ground that with what we're responding to and what the needs are. We currently have 68 English language learners, 24 in 3rd grade, 23 in 4th, and 21 in 5th grade. By the end of the year, they've taken assessment in the springtime, and then also some additional components allow us to see that second point, how many can be reclassified to be considered fluent language proficient. We've got a goal to get as many as we can, as quickly as we can in elementary school, so that they're poised to be positioned into middle school as fluent as possible. So within fluency, we're also looking to see what growth happens within the different measures. To get to fluency, though, they have to be at a high level of nearly met on the CASP, or proficient or advanced, and then also reach certain achievement levels of their what's called the LPAC now, their levels that look at oral language, how they can listen and understand, how they can write, and how they can read in English. They also have to have teacher recommendation and parent recommendation that approves that as well. So we had 5 in 5th grade, 3 in 4th grade, and 1 of our current 3rd graders, and 3 of the 6th graders that went on were reclassified. They'll be monitored for a couple years really closely, and the pictures down there is like a kind of a little inside joke of myself, but we had 1 3rd grader that was reclassified, and just amazing things have happened with his reading. So as we look at monitoring, we're like, okay, well, let's see what his levels were. He wasn't as interested in reading for the first few weeks, and then he just caught fire with it. And I'm just finding him all around campus reading as he's walking everywhere. One of it shows he's reading as he's entering the auditorium for the assembly. Then he was reading going out to recess, getting the door and not stopping. And then he was sitting and reading, and then he's sitting and walking in the last picture to the lunch area with Miss Sanders, who supports him with his Systems 44 learning. But she said, you know what, stand next to me, you can keep reading, just make sure that you're safe, walk with me, and we'll get to the cafeteria. And so I complimented him. He just said, I love reading so much now, and tells me how many reading counts points he has and what level he's at. And so it's just great, and we want to just keep that thirst for learning. I was in his math class yesterday, and he was talking about skip counting by 4s, and he said, do you know how to skip count by 4s? I said, yes, so I did it. And then he said, well, so do I, let me show you. And so just that thirst for beyond just the English language learning, how is that applied throughout all of his subject areas, and for all those students will continue. And then looking at that our systems, that we are building our own capacity, then that's going to foster what's good for students. I'm just thrilled at the caliber of some of our professional development. In particular, we're targeting 5th grade and 3rd grade instruction. Our teachers are completely on board, and they've learned some a little bit over the summer, and then each of those groups are receiving more direct instruction. Not only learning, well, what's kind of different right now is it's not only just learning in a vacuum about the information, but they're watching each other practice, and they're watching the trainers show what it should look like as best practice being modeled. So we're looking at what this could look like and how are we doing it ourselves with targeted goals. So you're looking at learning targets. We do those with students, but we also have success criteria for our teachers. This is a 5th grade, so they're looking at an issue that 5th graders have had, sometimes that the students, we want to make sure that they understand how to talk, how to show their information, how to write about facts, and use language that's academic and high level of language, that they can look at complicated text, break it apart, and be able to rebuild it with their own oral and written explanations, and that their language has hopefully improved through looking at some dense text through science or social studies, breaking it down and seeing the language, but that it's applied to actual learning that they're learning at the time. The teachers then do what's called a lesson study model. So they're looking at how can they show this, do it on a first read or a first try, then watch each other, try to improve it, see if they get better results, and keep going through this continual cycle of improvement to target the students' needs. And that's what it looks like in action. So they have plans, and then they're like, well, let's do it with the students then. And so we're really looking to increase the quality and the frequency of engagement. And by that I mean students They need to be practicing, they need to be speaking, they need to be listening and learning. And some studies will show that a quiet student who maybe is a little bit shy, maybe has 4 minutes of verbal communication and expression in a school day. 4 minutes. That's not the case in our schools and not the case in our classes. So teachers have purposely looking to see where can they put high leverage questions into their assignments, into their lesson plan, and how can they have students not just talk about a question that they might just have pop into their head, but something that makes them actually have to think, talk about what they're learning, and express themselves. Have that verbally, and then also put that into writing. So helping them bridge, like I would say, code switching from just being able to communicate more randomly to being able to be really strategic, and that we're really maximizing the time that we're doing that, the frequency of it. So as a teacher, here you'll see them learning how to actually engage better with something called SMART, that they're sitting close, they're listening, they're tracking the speakers, and that they're making the point to really engage and listen. And then teachers often are then asking, what has your partner said? What do they have to think? So that they're listening and attending and then repeating orally. When they have some strategic partnerships, that can be a language learner partnered with someone in the middle or towards the higher end, and that they're modeling with each other. Because research shows that students aspire to learn from each other, but that it needs to be in a really deliberate way. And so here you'll see the second one is collaborative note-taking and deconstruction. So we're trying to make the learning visible, and for us to know what are they thinking and how can we see that it's actually advancing. Our whiteboard tables have been great for that. So not only math, that they're able to write and construct text together, write in different colors, and show that all partners are participating. And then third grade, Be Glad, that's a registered name. So sometimes people hear it as GLAD training, but the Be Glad training is just a really enhanced language development training. They have key strategies. So you'll see the Give Me 5 those are like 5 key strategies, and then others that come in regularly into their instruction. So their craft, and this has been really fabulous because it dovetails very nicely into our benchmark advanced benchmark curriculum that we adopted. That's grounded in history, the science curriculum, the history curriculum, and then also into some nonfiction and fiction pieces. They develop their understanding through like chart making, visual learning, and then putting in graphic organizers that the students and teachers build together. And what that does is it helps the students see what a reader or a writer is thinking, and really making it really a journey over time, so that as they see some of the basic elements, they're layering on more complex thoughts that the character might be having, or transition statements to talk about one perspective versus another, and getting into some more complex at the 4th reading, the 5th reading. So a way to be familiar with some more complicated text so that the information's understood, and now they're doing stuff at higher levels as a group of language learners, and also as the whole class as well. There you see another cooperative sentence construction. That's one of the other 5 basic tenets that they have. And in that case, they were looking at prepositional phrases and knowing that you can have it come at the beginning or the end of the sentence. Oops, and that there's reasons for emphasizing it differently that an author would take to do that, and how can they do that themselves. Excellent. And then just that we're working together, that we've got our designated and our integrated time. And just as far as that, that's our school system, that our alignment and articulation across every grade level in every single classroom is committed to this system. Knowing, a few years ago, or even a couple years ago, a little bit of haziness as to why that designated time is so important. To not just be teaching what they need integrated into the curriculum during the day, but that some kids are taken out to specifically learn some language structures that a fluent or English language speaker just already knows after spending, say, 5 or 6 years at home listening to language, what is it that a student with that million-word gap is going to need, and what are those really high leverage language structures that we have to teach every day with commitment? And we're really on board with that. So the teachers now are planning what they're doing in designated time, and also making a commitment this year that the levels can be really fluid, that we're noticing as students develop that they're getting into some different levels of their learning that they need to be doing, just systemically at least. Nice questions?
Okay, first of all, any public comment? Trustees, questions, comments?
Thank you very much for the presentation. It's I very much appreciate all the work that you're doing, you and your staff are doing on this with your team. So my question is in one, and this was, and I was going to ask it at the workshop as well, the student workshop. So you're saying that they targeting the third and fifth grade instruction.
Mm-hmm.
So does the fourth grade, is there something else going on with that then? Is there other? I don't know my question, so maybe you can help me with.
Yeah, we have for the whole school. We're looking at our designated time. How are we integrating? How are we doing the work itself? The more specific strategies right now are being targeted purposely at third grade, because those are some key strategies for literature, for reading, for some of their fundamental skills that they need quickly in third grade. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then in fifth grade, that target is looking at some of that academic discourse and the work that they're doing, saying, like, how can we really drive this deep so that they can get as close to fluent as possible? Then both of those teams, just with our system, are then co-training each other the whole third. So third grade talks to third, fourth, and fifth grade. Fifth grade sharing some of their best strategies with third, fourth, and fifth. So fourth grade, though they're not getting some of this intensive, they absolutely have worked with Jean-Paul, who's helping with the fifth grade. He's worked with actually our whole primary TK up to fifth grade. And other trainers have come in through that same kind of West Ed training to middle school and high school. So we kind of have this big system within the district that we're doing, and they're just getting this boost of some extra support at the fifth grade to really dig deep. What we're working on with the capacity is that they're becoming experts in this way, and that they're training each other and themselves as well, and coaching each other.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
One quick question, and thank you as well for providing all this information. The reclassification, can you refresh my memory of how frequently it happens? Is it ongoing all the time?
It's annual.
It's annual. Okay.
Yeah.
So when there's some this fall, and then will it be done at the end of the year as well, or just again next?
Every fall. Yeah. So they take a test in spring that looks at their language levels, and then the CASP results, and that gets integrated into analyzing it in the beginning of the year for the next year.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Anything else to add? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Our last item under item 8, student learning and achievement, is the monthly presentation on the 2018-19 local control accountability plan. Mr. Chris Heller.
So this month, we'll go back and start with our LCAP goals and revisit those 3 goals.
And also revisiting the notion that each month the board will receive a presentation all the way up until March before we start collecting the information to develop our LCAP. Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. I'm talking nowhere. Okay. All right. Back. So each month we will do presentations leading up to our input that is provided in March to develop our stakeholders and present the LCAP draft in May for public hearing. And so in November, I'd like to focus this month on special education services and provide a little background and some information about staffing, our dashboard, and some training and next steps that we're going to offer within special education. So a little background in special education, just to bring us all up to the same speed. It requires districts to provide what we call FAPE, which is a free appropriate public education for all students. And within this, it established 13 criteria for special education additional services. And you can see those listed there. I won't go through all of those, but those establish what would qualify students for special education. And if you do qualify, then the district develops what is called an IEP, an individualized education plan, that addresses goals that we need to meet for each student, and it also invites parent and guardian input as well as their regular education teacher. So that's just a little background of what special education is without getting too deep into it, but at a pretty high level. And I just like to make the governing board aware of all the different services that go into special education, and besides having regular education teachers that are providing these services, we have the teachers that manage their caseload within Resource Specialist Program, RSP, and Special Day Class, SDC. Those teachers are responsible for the maintenance and scheduling the IEP for students and to make sure that their goals are achievable. We also have paraprofessionals within the classified that support the work of the teacher to continue working with students on a one-on-one basis or supporting them in their disability category and making sure that they're making progress. And the additional services of those other 5 folks that help develop and assess students in development of their IEP. We talked a little bit about this earlier today. This slide's a duplicate of the number of special education students, but for our audience, I thought it would be pertinent to share that about 11% of our students are in special education, a total of 118, which is well within the state range of 8 to 12%. The board is aware that the dashboard identifies areas for the district staff to focus on, and special education was an area that did come up in the category of yellow and orange. So it did raise our concern about how IEPs are constructed with goals and how students are assessed within those goals. And so we wanted to make sure that we are doing our due diligence with our staff to make sure that they have everything that they need to develop an IEP that is attainable for all of their students. So to do that, we've provided some different opportunities for our staff. Last year, Mr. Pauls was very interested in teaching adaptive physical education for students and would come over in the afternoon and have students from RLS and the high school work together in an adaptive PE environment, which was great for all students. And we've also done district-wide professional development in what was really an idea or a concept that we needed to come back to is how to construct an IEP from the start to finish that met students' needs. And that was provided last year by SELPA Director Pamela Blatt. And it was really well received, and we saw some yields right away in how IEPs were developed. We've also provided this year some autism awareness training for both certificated and classified, and restraint training for classified staff as well. But ongoing trainings also occur within each field. It would be difficult for us to provide psychology, occupational therapy training for our staff, since there's only 1 or 2 in each field. So a lot of them do attend trainings and ongoing certifications based on their job classification. So next steps there's a picture from the IEP training actually. So we want to continue to analyze the data from our student assessments to make sure that the IEP growth targets are appropriate for each student. One of the things that we did notice is that we need to make sure that the goals are rewritten every year to be reflective of the student progress, and making sure that 1 year stands alone and then we write a new goal based on the student's progress. Continue to provide our group trainings and as well as individual trainings for each staff member in their fields. Since I started, we've established monthly special education staff meetings for our staff to just kind of sit down once a month and talk about issues that we have within special education, and sit down and talk about how we could deliver services a little bit better. And that's been attended by most of the group that you saw on that second slide. So that's been really a positive to strengthen our communication. And also continue, and we've done this a lot, is accessing support from our SELPA, our Special Education Local Plan Agency, which is run through the county office, and supporting us and providing guidance and when we get into some tricky situations, and also ongoing training. So Pamela Blatt has retired, and our new director is Jenny Maywald, and she's been very supportive of our efforts in special education in the district. So. And that's a very quick presentation. We could go into a lot of depth, but I think that kind of captures where we are and where we're headed in our services.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment? Trustees, questions or comments?
You know, my question is, it's kind of a more of a high level question as far as like the state the dashboard, the state dashboard. What exactly is it used for information only, just for community members and parents to kind of see how school districts are doing it, or does the California Department of Education, do they use it to provide resources for school districts that might need when if their ratings are low, or I mean, is it like kind of that No Child Left Behind, where if you're not performing, then there's people coming into your school, does it use that way, or?
I will add that actually tomorrow Principal Cinto and I and the SELPA director do have what's called a PIR, a program indicator review, and they'll highlight areas that we need to address and create a plan for. So we did that last year and provided the documentation to the state in 2 areas, and so there is one area that we need to focus on and write a plan for. So I don't think it's in that ballpark of coming in and taking over, things like that, but the dashboard does help inform us of student populations we need to be aware of. And I think sometimes special education students and services might get overlooked in the past, whereas now as a standalone category, it does make us a little more aware of opportunities that we have to, improve our training and services across the board.
Right. So it is reporting through California Department of Education, where you're providing reporting and things and backup material.
Yeah, it's connected. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I had a quick question. For the IEP process, would you say that, I guess, are most of the parents attending and being involved in those, or is it kind of just depending on? I get head nods out there. So yeah, it sounds like, since I don't attend all of them, it's good to see that the parent participation is good in the development, and parents receive notification when the IEPs are going to occur and work around their schedules as best we can. Yeah, with all the staff that are involved.
And Mr. Heller, do
Yes.
you feel, or does the district feel that the staff of 7 teachers managing the IEP cases is adequate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're on to item number 9, Human Resources A, which is information discussion of a new advancement via individual determination positions. Avid, Mr. Chris Heller.
Thank you.
What's on your mind?
Tired of talking. That's what's on my mind. The advancement via individual determination. This program has been around for 5 years. And the design for having tutors to support students in these classes was originally targeted for college students to come and work in schools. But given our geography, it's very difficult to attract and retain college students to come in during the school day. And so what has occurred over the years is we've had various parents and community members fill in that void. And these time periods are about an hour and a half, at maximum. And so we find with the turnover and with the inconsistency in the program, staff has taken a look at this and recommends that we consider the idea of having a 2-position tandem support classified positions to help employ those people for the 1920 school year. They would end up becoming classified CSEA members. And we were looking at a 5 to 6 hour range to provide services in a broad sense to overlap the day. When they weren't providing AVID services, they would be pushing in to help support students in regular education in the MTSS model, which we've talked a lot about today. So if there were a break in their schedule at the school, designated, let's say, the high school, and there was no AVID during that period, they would push into other classes and help support students. The cost of the positions listed there would be about $77,000 for two 5-hour positions, and $97,000 for a 6-hour position. So I'm requesting tonight that the governing board discuss this and provide direction and for me to consider developing a job description if this is approved.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment concerning this agenda item? Public comment. So I mean, come on up. Yep. That's okay. No problem.
I have a question. So I am an AVID tutor. When you say 5 hours or 6 hours, is that weekly? So these are basically full-time positions? That's what I'm not understanding.
They would be 5 hours a day.
A day. Okay.
Yes. So it would be a 30 hours a week or 25.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Take off my shoe.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, trustees.
Ms. Trustee Pelosi, is your microphone on?
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. Okay, I don't see them still popping up on my agenda. So
you probably need to refresh. So perhaps, Erica, could you post the...
They are actually, it's a separate agenda document.
Under meetings, Erica, right? Okay, let me refresh again because I've been doing that.
I can bring them up for you.
So for the community and what's happening right now is when our trustees have questions about the agenda, it's very common that more than one trustee would have that question. So they submit the questions to me, and then they are recorded with the responses and posted as an addendum to the agenda prior to the board meeting. And unfortunately today there was a lot happening with air quality in meetings, and so the questions were just now posted, and so they are available online, and Erica is showing them on the screen at this time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, does somebody else have, do you want to read through your stuff?
I was going to say, do you want to, because I can't see them.
Right, so.
Yeah. Does anybody else have a question in the meantime?
I'm good with if you go ahead.
Trustee Pelosi, you're welcome to ask the questions and have staff respond to you verbally.
Okay. Well, let's go with, I wanted to know what the current ratio of students to a tutor is at present.
Can you put the microphone on?
Gosh, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. Could you please tell me what the current ratio is of students to tutors, please?
Yeah, the sentence where the cursor is right now says the class size is approximately 24 students, and with 2 to 3 tutors per class, the ratio goes between 8 to 12 students.
Okay.
That's more math that I had to do on the fly.
Okay. And I'm seeing the other questions here that kind of, I'm reading those. That's, you seem to, they're answering, and I'm assuming that both of these positions obviously are going to go back and forth between RLS and the high school, correct?
They would rotate, correct, and they would work in tandem.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay, that's great. Okay, thank you. Let's see. I got that. Okay, I'm okay. My questions have been answered here, so I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
Trustees, any other questions concerning this agenda item?
I just want to kind of get a better feel for the kind of unseen costs that we've had in the past of, we've had basically a high turnover in these positions as they currently stand with the short term or the shorter hours. So I think we're retraining people every year, correct? And
correct.
we are spending time and resources to retrain them every year. Is there a kind of a hope that if we have a more permanent larger position that we won't be doing this retraining? And also, can you give me a feel for how many hours and how many people we're retraining every year?
I can answer the first part in saying that is the desired effect is to have stability in the position and have somebody be in there for a longer term than just say 1 year. I really can't speak to the training time, so Mary, can you help address that?
The training occurs with Jennifer Marinese. So Jennifer Marinese is our trainer. So there's some actual face-to-face training that we have 2 of our tutors right here, actually, that get from Ms. Marinese, approximately about an hour to 2 hours, and then there's online training that happens with the tutorials.
I see. Okay.
And for clarification, then, so the 77,000 estimate is for 2 5-hour positions?
Correct.
Okay, and then the 97 is for
2 6-hour.
2 6-hour. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. 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 And then does this is it including any type of benefits? Is that include the benefits as well?
The benefits are prorated for the number of hours in the position.
I see.
So
Okay.
that explains kind of the difference in the cost, why it's not like a clean increment.
Okay. And then so when we so it doesn't look like are we voting on this evening, or is this information just information?
I'm asking for direction to
I
create
see.
a job
Okay.
description,
Okay.
and based on the input and the discussion that you have, it would be, if approved, would it be a 5-hour position or a 6-hour position, or not approved at all?
Okay. And they're both classified.
They're both classified
Okay.
CSEA employees.
Okay, and it's through the regular application process then, as
Right.
far as
Correct. Hiring.
Go ahead.
May I add a comment about the cost too? Those costs are net, the current cost that we spend on the tutoring, which is approximately $11,000 a year. And so the cost that you see there would be net. That would be the additional cost without having to do the tutoring that we currently have, if that makes sense.
The training and things?
Well, what we're paying now for the tutoring program as it is approximately $11,000 a year.
Okay.
So we would not have that expense. We would have this expense instead.
Okay.
I'm sorry, all of our avid tutors we're spending, and we have how many right now? We have
We currently have 6.
6, and all 6 of them we only spend $11,000 a year each.
No, it wasn't, because it's just right now it's an at-will hourly, so there's not medical benefits and things like that. And we have this coded to a certain account, and so when I did some research and development for the costs, what I discovered at that time was that it was about $11,000 that we're spending about each year on the tutoring right now.
So I would say that with this model here, I appreciate the consistency that it would bring, and I think that would just make our avid team and stronger. I mean, all of our programs stronger, especially since they're going to be pushing into classrooms as well on their off time. So I can definitely see benefit that way. Just the consistency of employees. I'll let somebody else.
Leo, do you want
to? I agree with that too. I mean, just having a consistent, or 2 people that are consistently going, and I think for this program, it's obviously having great benefit on students. I think it's important to have qualified tutors that can help student needs. So I would say they should move forward.
So for me, I really like the idea that there's a push-in the hours there, because once again, we're here to help students. And so to me, anything we can do to enhance our programs and make them stronger and have the ability to do. And I just want to, from Ms. Stubbs, I assume financially we're okay to do this. This could be done out of our general budget and be fine.
Yes, the review that I did indicated that we'd be able to support this cost without creating a structural deficit in 1920.
Okay. I guess for me, I would very much like to see the two options. I would like to see what the 5-hour option looks like, and what a 6-hour option looks like. So to me, if we're getting that extra benefit at the RLS and the high school, and they're able to push into a class and make a difference in our ELD program, anything, I would be very supportive of it. So I don't know how the rest of the trustees I feel about this idea, but that's where I stand with it. So
I don't see any disadvantage of this at all.
Okay.
No, I mean,
So,
as long as we're able to maintain, financially move forward with this year to year, well, be consistent that way.
Right. Exactly. As long as, those positions just can continue with the program. Otherwise, we seem like we're back and still at the at will hourly employee kind of situation. So that's the only potential, concern, if you will. It's not a major concern, but I would like to see a job description as well for both of the options and have you bring that back to us to review.
I also feel that this is the best way forward for our students. However, I do recognize that this will impact our current AVID employees, and I really would like to see some concern as to how we're addressing the IDA issue with those current employees, and I really think that from my perspective, we have to consider both issues at the same time.
Okay. Absolutely.
I know that it's a separate issue, but I want to see both of the issues looked at the same time.
Trustee Haug, I will be bringing the AR 5117.1 to the board in December with some recommendations and options for your concerns, and that will occur at the December board meeting.
Okay.
So it will be at the same time that the job descriptions would be brought forward.
Correct.
Okay.
I just want to clarify, I think they're going to be two different agenda items. Two different agenda items, same night.
Thank you. Now that's clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
So,
is it clear to, is this been made clear to the staff and the current staff?
Yes.
So I just want to re-say what I've heard is we're going to have an agenda item to talk about the AR next month in December, and that what we're looking from the staff is to create what a 5-hour position would look like and what a 6-hour position would look like, to give us an option as to the benefits of one or the other.
The job description would be the same.
Okay. But then give me the benefits of why, sell me on why you want a 6-hour instead over a 5-hour.
Gotcha.
That's all.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Trustees,
thank you.
All good with that?
Yes, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, you're dead.
Just a second. Okay, next up, hopefully, got it. All right, is 9B, approval ratification of updated AB 1200, public disclosure of collective bargaining agreements. This has to be Miss Andy Stubbs.
Why, it is.
Good.
Thank you. Last year, we entered into an agreement with our bargaining units whereby for 2018-19, employees would receive an ongoing salary increase of up to 4%, depending on how much of a property tax increase we received this year compared with last year. And so there is indeed a formula in each of the negotiated agreements that stipulates what that salary increase would be. So, for example, if this year's property taxes came in at 3.25% compared with last year, then there would be a 0.5% increase added to all salary schedules, and so on incrementally up to a maximum of a 4% salary increase if the property tax increase comes in as high as 6.5%. And so all of this was approved and negotiated and then approved by the board last year for 18-19, but we are required to submit some public disclosure documents to the Napa County Office of Education before we can apply that 2018-19 increase to payroll. And so this increase would be retroactive for all non-executive cabinet level employees back to July 1st, 2018. And the property tax certification report usually comes in early to mid-November. We wanted to have the flexibility to be able to pay this out retroactively with the November or the December payroll. So I contacted the County Office of Education, and they advised me to do the public disclosure documents depicting the maximum increase, which would be the 4%, if property taxes came in at 6.5%. And so by doing this and having the board approval this evening, that then allows us to pay out the retro in November or December. We then received the property tax certification report a couple of days ago. And so what we learned is that the property taxes have increased 6.43% since last year, which means, according to the formula, that our staff will get an increase of 3.75% ongoing. And I checked with the County Office of Ed today, and they confirmed that we do not need to amend these public disclosure documents, that they will approve the maximum scenario. That's fine, and then we can do the actual salary schedules on consent in December. And we'll be able to pay that out in the November payroll, which helps our payroll staff a great deal in terms of workload.
Right.
And so the multi-year projection is based on the 2018-19 original budget, and then we overlaid this additional cost, and with the offset of the property tax increase, we're able to afford the ongoing salary increase without incurring a deficit with our unrestricted budget. And then currently I'm working on the first interim report, and so those figures will capture all this information. And so with that, I would then recommend that the board consider approval of the AB 1200 public disclosure documents.
Is there any public comment? Trustees, any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve the updated AB 1200 public disclosure of collective bargaining agreements document as presented?
I make a motion to approve the updated AB 1200 public disclosure of collective bargaining agreements.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Oh, sorry.
Second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion's carried. We're on to item number 10A, which is information and approval of the enrollment caps for the 2019 and 2020 school 2022 school year. Dr. Mary Lou Wilson, please.
Yes, good evening. The enrollment caps, as you know, are directly aligned with District of Choice, and District of Choice is the process that we use to enroll students that do not live in our attendance area. That was a process that you selected to move into a number of years ago that allows for a lottery and objectivity around which students become part of our enrollment. Initially, districts that received local control funding, the district received approximately 75% of the funding that was going to their district. Currently, that funding model has been changed, and this year you decided to continue to stay with District of Choice, even though the funding that follows those students is approximately 25% of the ADA. Remember that any students that come to us from community-funded districts or basic aid districts, no funding follows them as a part of their enrollment. We use the district enrollment cap the District of Choice enrollment cap to help monitor and ensure that our class sizes are appropriate, and that although we're bringing in additional students, it doesn't strain our class size, our staffing, our resources. So what you have in front of you on the screen are the current enrollment caps, which last year we raised 6th, 7th, 8th, and all of high school, I believe, by 5. So the caps from 18-19, and my recommendation, the staff recommendation, to maintain those same caps for 19-20 as we move into the District of Choice process. I thought it was important for you also to have an opportunity to take a look at our current enrollment, which is that final column. Now remember, even though we have an enrollment cap, that doesn't limit students to enroll in our district who live in our attendance area. So, for example, in that TK program, the cap is 12. We admitted a couple of TK students, and we have a large number of TK students living in our attendance area. So you see that we have 16 TK students. Another example, at the 9th grade, we actually, at the middle of last year, we had 17 students on the District of Choice request list. And at the time, we had 88 8th graders, and so we actually invited all 17 to join us. And of those 17, 4 enrolled in our schools. So that 136 that you're seeing at the 9th grade are students living within our attendance area. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and do remind and recommend that we maintain the same enrollment caps that we had for this year for the upcoming 19-20 school year.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? Trustees, questions, comments concerning the enrollment caps?
I believe we went through this last year. I'm just wondering again why we have a lower cap for 9th grade than for 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Yes, because we have our 8th grade class, and then we have the unknown of Howell Mountain and Pope Valley and other schools that may enroll in our district of students who live in our attendance area.
Well, my comment is a little bit, I'm looking at the kindergarten cap of 75 and 90 students, and so that's where it's the challenge for us, you know, when it gets that high, because we have the same amount of teachers, and so this group is going to continue to be moving, you know, through at 90 plus if there's more enrollment in that grade for next year. So that's just where class sizes are higher, and you know, all of that. So that's why I think that we need to keep firm on our enrollment caps right now, because there's so many unknowns. That's just my thought.
And I think it's important to keep in mind and make everybody aware as well that there are potentially space issues. I mean, if class sizes increases, you obviously have to concern yourself with classroom space, which also means increasing staff. So, you know, while obviously in an ideal world, 120 kindergarten students might be great, but we don't really have space for 120 kindergarten students. And then you have to obviously increase staff, which so it's a multiple layer issue to keep increasing enrollment caps. So I'm comfortable with your recommendation as well, given that, you know, it does fluctuate and we never know what's going to happen in a given year. So I'm comfortable with that.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the enrollment caps for the 2019-2020 school year as presented?
I make a motion to approve the enrollment caps for the 2019-2020 year as presented.
Is there a second?
Go ahead.
Second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. We are on to item 10B, which is request for approval of contracts exceeding $25,000. Stubbs, please.
Thank you. This would be a 5-year renewal of our agreement with SPUR, which is a California Joint Powers Authority group that purchases natural gas on behalf of public agencies like ours at a discounted competitive price. And so we've been with SPUR for quite some time now, and they serve a lot of school districts across the state of California. We get really good rates with them. And so currently we're spending approximately $92,000 a year on natural gas. We pay that directly to SPUR, and so consequently the agreement is with them, and I would recommend that the board consider approval of this contract.
Okay, is there any public comment? Trustees? Is there a motion to approve the contracts over $25,000 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Sorry. A little quick
Excuse
on the
me.
draw. Is there a second out there?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Wow.
We're on to item number 11, facilities, the renewable energy projects update. Ms. Sandy Stubbs, please.
Thank you. So during the 15-16 school year, the board directed us to contract with Sage Renewables for a feasibility study to take a look at solar. And so they did conduct that study, and we determined that the estimated general fund savings would be nominal, and so at that time the board directed us to continue looking at solar, but not to move forward with the project at that time. And so in reviewing all the information that Sage provided us, the rationale for not moving forward at that time included the idea that, which I stated before, was the cost, the estimated savings didn't outweigh the potential risk and added cost of taking on a solar project. At the time, we didn't have the funds and the budget available to pay for some of the estimated out-of-pocket costs. And then additionally, we had some concerns around the future of the technology, and so would we be seeing some rapid change, and then that would possibly impact our potential savings. And then we also determined that we could probably make some changes internally just by changing behavior, encouraging staff to turn off lights and things like that, and there's some programs out there that can help you do that. And so last February, I checked back in with Sage Renewables to see if there was any change out there in the industry that might cause us to revisit solar. And keeping in mind, too, that Sage Renewables is an outside consultant, so they're separate from the companies, the sole source companies, and firms that will install the solar for you. And so typically if you're going out to do a solar project, then you want to work with a consultant like Sage Renewables who's outside of that to give you a good and fair look at whether or not you should do solar. And so when I spoke with them back in February, they indicated that the PG&E structuring was kind of in progress, and so the outcome there, you could potentially see a reduction in the value of solar energy. And then there's other current issues that are impacting solar project pricing, for example, the federal tariffs, tax reform, and so forth. And so at that time they suggested that a standalone battery and energy storage system might save us some energy, so we actually reached out to somebody and looked into that. But they determined that as a standalone program we would not generate savings. So then this fall we had a company called NG Services, which I believe presented at CSBA recently, come out and do another no-cost facility feasibility study for us. And NG Services is a sole source provider, and so they're a company that does everything. They arrange for the financing, they arrange for the installers, and they do the design and so forth. And so they walked our sites, and they provided a programmatic scope of work for us that includes a whole package: indoor lighting upgrades, HVAC replacements, replacement of thermostats, solar installation, and even some STEM education programming. And so then they presented the study at the Facilities Committee on October 10th, and the committee reviewed all the information and recommended updating the board. And so these are some examples of where they might put solar arrays at the different campuses, and Sage Renewables had done a similar look for us. And so we shared all the information that Sage provided with NG, and then they did their own walk and determined where we could potentially put some solar arrays. We shared that information with the facilities committee, and they had some recommendations around where the arrays might go. And so, for example, at RLS, we determined that really the only feasible spot for the a possible array would be in that far corner in the blue there that you see. And then over at the high school, too, I believe, where they had placed some of the solar arrays in their original study, we determined that those arrays would probably get clocked by a lot of errant baseballs and softballs, so we pulled some of those out. And so their feasibility study includes quite a bit of information around cost and financing. And so with these types of programs, you can pay cash up front, or you could engage in what's called a solar power purchase agreement, where a third party finances it with something like a 20-year term and an annual interest rate right now of approximately 3.8%. And so then you can see the grid that they provided us with the different options. So we could do solar only, solar with LED lighting, solar LED lighting and HVAC. And so the whole package there. And then you can see the estimated cost savings with or without financing. So they presented all of this information to the facility committee as well. Some other key considerations with NG and with, I think, most of these companies, they can guarantee the savings within certain parameters, but they can't guarantee the savings if PG&E rates change again. So that's a concern that I have. And then again, the assessment is best done through an independent analysis. So that was the purpose of going out with Sage Renewables a couple of years ago. And then if we were to enter into any kind of agreement, we would want to have an independent legal review of all the documents that would be required. So we have several options moving forward. The board could direct us to just continue monitoring changes in the industry. We could engage in a competitive bidding process for all of this work. We also could potentially look at parsing out some of the work. We'd been considering beginning to replace lighting with LED lighting anyway moving forward, and we've been looking at our HVAC unit, so it could be that we parse out some of the package and then possibly look at solar later. If we wanted to move forward with a company like NG, then we wouldn't necessarily have to go out with a formal bidding process, because government code allows us for this type of work to go with a company that provides us with the service that we want without having to get a competitive bid. And we could potentially request proposals from other qualified vendors that could provide the same packaging as well. So those would be some of the options to consider, and then I would turn it over to the board for discussion.
Is there any public comment? Trustees, questions, comments, concerns?
Well, I love the idea of solar panels. I guess it just seems like this is actually quite a big scope of a project. It's not something, and I guess the concern is if, you know, piecing it out and trying other things. I mean, I'm just wondering if you're always going to be kind of running in circles a little bit. Does that make sense? Like, you know, if technology is constantly changing and we do some parts on our own and, you know, then we opt to, I don't know. It just seems like it's one of those technologies that you could always think you're just two steps ahead, but you're actually already 2 steps behind. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm not really asking a question here. I'm just kind of thinking it over and just kind of discussing. Is there the option of trying it at one campus first? Does that make any financial sense at all?
We could evaluate that.
I'm just, you know, just to see if there is what kind of savings comes across.
Yeah, I think I think that could be real challenging to really generate some significant savings, but it's not out of the realm of possibility to at least explore that idea. So perhaps at one of the schools, all solar HVAC and...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not committed to that, Andy. I'm just throwing it out there to see if that's, you know, is it something that makes sense? And if it doesn't, it doesn't. I just, you know, somebody else can jump in if they got a question.
So I understand that an RFP, it's non-competitive. There's no RFP required on this one. But wouldn't it behoove us to ask for other qualified vendors just to make it more competitive?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
We could certainly
I mean,
do
if we decided that we would want to kind of just at least, if we have the appetite for something like this, just to get more information, we might want to just ask, you know, have other vendors come in, because we don't know what else is out there. You know, I mean, because we're just looking at NG right now. So that's one thing that I'm thinking of. More than likely, we would. It seems to me it would probably be where we do like a loan type of financing. Is that right? Funding. It would be more of a loan than paying cash.
I would think so. I wouldn't want to dip into the reserve that much, even if we were just doing the solar only.
Right.
We could do a combination, do some kind of a reserve contribution, and then finance the rest possibly. But I would definitely want us to look into long-term financing if we were to do something on that scale.
I've always liked the idea of solar, but I don't want to be doing it just because I like the idea of solar. It has to make sense. It has to make sense for us financially, and I like the idea of getting other bids because we have to know what our options are. We don't want one company telling us that they can do something, and then we've already had a study done that we decided not to move forward on because it didn't meet our requirements. So I know it was 2 years ago, but at the same time, I think we have to bear in mind it was not an easy decision for many of us on the board at the time to say no to solar, but we did. So I don't want to. I love the idea. I love the idea of solar. I want us to have solar. I believe in solar. I believe in renewables going forward as the only way for our planet, all that. But I don't want to throw money after something that is not going to be in the best interest of the district in the long term.
Julio, did you have a comment?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I had a question, comment. Did you show the location for the elementary school, Kenneth?
I think one of the pictures was on there. Yes, it's the large one there.
And that's like right over where the kids play kickball, right?
I believe so, yes, the larger of the blue rectangles.
Yeah, my kids wouldn't forgive me if I passed them. They play kick. No, I mean, for the kid, I mean, at the other locations, it seems like good spots. I mean, that aren't really. And at the primary, I think it would obviously provide some shade for the kids. But at this one, I know, not just from my kids, but I used to play kickball there, so I'm just. I don't know if there's another location, but.
It's a big
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I too would also like to weigh in. I really think that going with what right now, I am pro solar, just like everybody else, I think, on the board. Yeah, but it's got to make sense. And we pay a contract to Sage Renewables to tell us when it makes sense. And I would vote against a sole source stand down. No way. Has to be an RFP if we're going to do anything. I want competitive bid process. Absolutely. There's to allow one company to come in just because they're cleanly packaging a solar product and all these other little fringe benefits of LEDs and HVACs that I think that we could easily do in-house would I would have a very hard time doing that. So, so I guess where I am is I'm staying with where Sage Renewables is, which is we'll continue monitoring it. I want to do it when it's right for the district. I don't want us to spend reserve dollars or pay out and all of a sudden we're strapped because we've got this beautiful solar array. And I think, Julio, you make a really good comment because everywhere we want to put one of those arrays, I mean, I can see the RLS. I mean, that makes sense to me. That's the corner nobody uses. And of course, we can't just put it on any building like everybody thinks we can.
Right.
That's the biggest, with the school issue, that's our biggest problem is we can't just throw it on all of our roofs. We've got to put it over parking or we've got to put it over something. And then all of a sudden now you're limiting the amount of kilowatts that you can put there because of the size. And so so that's where I am. I'm at the point where until there's a clear deciding that a independent group says, yes, it does make sense on your campus, then I'm all in. But until that time, to me, I would, if the board chooses to go that direction, I would definitely want a competitive bid process.
Yeah.
So that would be my input.
Well, and I think that the one thing that is always the unknown is kind of PG&E, and we'll never know. I don't know. I generalized when I said that. I don't know if we'll ever really know what's going to happen with PG&E. We might. I just don't know the direction that PG&E is going. And
right. I mean, my thinking would be is if they announce they're going to double the rate of energy, the cost of whatever it is per kilowatt hour, and then all of a sudden, I think that there might be a lot of money saved by doing solar. They would come up with some, how we get rate increases. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where the climate would flip to where it would be. I can't imagine they're going to reduce it. So
right.
No. Anyway.
So does it? So it sounds. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll let you say it. But it sounds like to me that we might want to move slowly as we're still are you still feeling comfortable and still investigating it then a little bit? Or
I am, but I would really, I want to lean on Sage Renewables to announce when they think the market timing's right and then proceed from then. So rather than when a company is advocating to do it.
Right.
A sole company to me. So I just, that would be for me what I would need is an independent group saying, hey, this makes sense. And then I'd be like, okay. Mm-hmm. So.
In tandem with what Julio said about the structure on the elementary school playground, which I just see kids running in that court area and hitting a pole. I know we'd have them. I know we would have padding around poles, but yeah, that's what I see. And then I also just looked at another one. It seems to be right over the tennis court, which, I know that there are tennis balls lobbed on tennis courts. I don't know whether a tennis ball breaks solar panels, but don't they? It just seems... Yeah, I also question because there's panels put in places where Sage Renewables did not put them. So that's why I again question.
So I guess I'll recap. Oh, go ahead.
And so some of the information that's not included in this brief presentation, but was in the facility committee presentation, is that when Sage Renewables was looking at this, they weren't looking at also HVAC and LED lighting. And at that time, we were not using quite as much energy because of the PAC. So I might want to check in with Sage Renewables and just see what they think about combining all those different things, and as well as you say, going out, getting some quotes on maybe piecemealing it out, so the LED lighting, the HVAC, all those things.
And Andy, one other, another issue with solar panels is, would any kind of cleaning be done in-house, or is that something that would be done by the installation company? And what kind of maintenance agreement comes in with that?
Usually they have a pretty comprehensive maintenance agreement. I think typically it's an outside company coming in and doing the cleaning and maintenance, and then
Okay.
all that is built into the projected savings that you saw there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So trustees, to help our staff move along, kind of to go through, Julio, I'll start with you. Just where do you see us going with this right now?
I would say, or what are the options? I think the first one, just kind of just holding back if it's not really worth, that big of a savings. I don't think it's really necessary for us to continue going unless unless Sage gives us a reason to go that direction. So,
Maria?
I'd agree with Julio. Be in touch with Sage Renewables and see what updates they have along with what Andy just mentioned, talking about the PAC energy changes and all that.
Jeannie?
Yes, I'm in agreement with that, where we keep investigating this and using Sage Renewable is kind of the way to go. Yes.
Lisa?
I will concur with that, and I would also, as Andy mentioned, if we can start to do some of our own kind of costs, energy savings procedures of whether it's changing out light bulbs. I don't even know if we can install some of our own smart thermostats without having to go through a solar company to do so. And looking back at the bullet points here, things like that. I think that those are things we can certainly continue to do in the meantime while we're researching solar options.
Okay, and so I think the board's in unanimous agreement that we're just waiting for the independent contractor to tell us the time is right, and we're going to ask them to look at our new power consumption. So we'll hear back, I would assume, after Christmas maybe with something, just an update as to where things are.
Yes, and I may bring a very, very small contract renewal with Sage Renewables for a small amount to take a look at the information if we feel that we need to.
Okay. Trustees comfortable with that? Okay, great. Thank you.
I just wonder, does Sage, would Sage be able to make comments on NG's proposal then, in theory?
I think that they likely would, yes. Sage is the type of company that districts hire to be that third-party evaluator for these sorts of things. And it's public information at this point, so.
Is there other companies similar to Sage then?
There are, and I can shop around for those too.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. I was just wondering if that's a competitive field as well.
It is, and in fact, I like Sage very much, and I may want to take a look at some others too.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustees comfortable? Okay. We are on to item number 11B, which is approval of change order number 3 to the contract for the St. Helena Elementary School kitchen cafeteria renovation project. Ms. Andy Stubbs, please.
Thank you. And this would be the third and final change order for the kitchen cafeteria remodel project. And as you can see from the change order documentation, we had a few items that resulted from differing conditions out in the field and a couple of things that were owner request. This project just had a lot of little details within it, as you can see from some of the items there. And so we still have to pay the final bills, and I do believe that we're going to come in a little bit over budget on this project. I'm estimating that it will be up to approximately $25,000 over budget, just because we had a lot of changes out in the field that we had to address. After inspections, we had some things that we had to change and so forth. And so I would recommend that the board approve this third and final change order for the kitchen cafeteria remodel project.
Is there any public comment? Trustees, any questions or comments?
I just think that in today's climate of construction after the fires, that we're lucky that we only have the $25,000 over budget.
And I think we're more than lucky. I think thank you, we're good.
Yes.
Right.
For
Yes,
thank you
yes,
for
thank
doing
you.
that.
Yes, thank you for doing that.
This wasn't
Timing
just
is
an
correctly.
accident.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I misspoke.
No, I wrote outstanding
I
on my
misspoke.
notes.
That was going to be my comment, and the other part that I like was there will be no further change orders. So, thank you very much.
I loved being able to draft that.
I know, I bet you do. It's appreciated, so thank you.
Is there a motion to approve change order number 3 for the contract for St. Helena Elementary School kitchen cafeteria renovation project as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're on to the consent agenda, and this is item number 12. Trustees, is there any item that you wish to pull from the consent agenda?
President Conwell, I don't want to pull anything. I just want to make a comment in full disclosure that I actually do sit on the St. Helena High School parent group, and I realize this is only an information item. We're not actually like approving the budget, but I just want to make it known that I do sit there and am part of the budget creation of that group.
Yeah, so I think since it's information, that's
Yes.
just fine. Anybody else wish to pull or make a comment on it? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda tonight?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are down to item number 13, communication, board member reports. Miss Jeannie Kerr, I believe you are on the podium
Yes, for the
tonight.
elementary school. And it's short and sweet. I've got some really sweet pictures from Tanya. Yeah, so it was nice. So I did prepare something this evening just because it's been a very busy week and I knew it was going to be late tonight. And so anyway, here we go. Dr. Wilson and I visited the St. Helena Elementary School with Miss Pearson on Friday, November 2nd. It was wonderful observing the students in various classrooms. Each classroom had its own unique flexible seating arrangement, but all classrooms had the same intent, for students to have a comfortable environment, to collaborate, to feel safe, and to learn together. In a couple of the classrooms, there were student ambassadors sharing with us what they were learning and showing us their student work. The young ladies in one classroom were full of knowledge and shared everything that they knew about the Statue of Liberty. One classroom was playing a word game to get ready for their phonics quiz. All students were engaged, enthusiastic, and eager in helping each other learn different meaning of words. After each class that we visited, Ms. Pearson and Dr. Wilson explained and demonstrated how the coaching model worked. Additionally, Ms. Pearson advised me of the various professional development opportunities that continues at St. Helena Elementary School, and those were similar to what you were here tonight at the earlier meeting. We made a stop at the cafeteria and media center during the first recess. The cafeteria is so bright and airy now. It's actually very, very beautiful, very beautiful. There were many students taking advantage of the second chance breakfast. The food selection looked very yummy, and the students were definitely enjoying the offerings. Miss Baxter, the food service director, and her interns continue to do food tastings to determine what the students like. The newest breakfast item is a pear blueberry breakfast crisp served with yogurt. From the picture on the recipe, it looks really good. Prior to my visit, I was able to briefly enjoy the fun of the Halloween parade. The costumes of the students and staff were fabulous and very creative. The students were having a wonderful time, and I could imagine that they were feeling very happy that it was a minimum school day. I bet all the staff were just as happy for that day. In closing, there is no doubt in my mind that all the staff of St. Helena Elementary School are always thinking of the needs of our students first and are willing to make changes accordingly. Similar to the other school sites in our district, our students are in a safe, friendly, and caring environment each and every day. This is the type of environment that we know our students thrive in, and I feel so fortunate to be part of a district that puts students first all of the time. So then there's the pictures, and this was compliments of Ms. Pearson, the pictures. She took all the pictures. And that's just some of the artwork. And thanks to Maria and Lisa, I've added that to my presentation as well.
We're all trying to outline each other.
Exactly. And then this is when we were visiting, and that's Cooper, the therapy dog for this young man, Rutherford. Is that correct? Yes, yes. And that he had for Halloween, he had like a little clown on the back of him, and as he was walking, the clown was because it was like a cowboy and a horse. So it was actually really adorable. It was really cute.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Obviously, going for an October report is always a good one because you're going to get onto it, for the November. Okay, we're on to item 13B, Superintendent's Subcommittee Reports, Board Policy Committee meeting. Maria, that was on Monday, November 5th.
Yes, and we only discussed 3 policies, 1400, 2210, and 9310, and they were all CSBA advised policy changes. And then there was also discussion of AR 5117.1, and that's the interdistrict transfers. And we, well, everything's coming up, so we agreed to, in line with the new Avid Tutors change, we are kind of moving towards removing the word regular employees from our terminology, because we basically now have just classified and certificated employees.
Okay, so now we got curriculum, technology, innovation. Julio, Maria, who would like to speak to that?
Do you want to do it?
All right, this one was October 16th. We had an update from Mr. Butts on the mathematics at the St. Helena High School. He talked a little bit about the intervention program that's held during 5th period. He said it's been very positive and great for the students. There are actually a lot of one-on-one work that is done there, and the instruction is targeted to the students' needs. As far as the new math curriculum, the big ideas, he talked a little bit about that. I think the board passed or approved that. So they said that so far it's been a very good choice. The resources have been good for both the students and the teachers. And we also we watched a video for the English Learner Update, which I would actually recommend for all board members and stakeholders to watch. It's the California Roadmap Policy, and the one we watched was a call to action. And essentially it just talks about the shift from the old approach of teaching English language learners to more of the new change that's happening right now in California. And really the main message that I got was that just the success of the policy is going to depend on the success of the implementation. So that's important moving forward. We had an update on the EMT program at the high school, the certification program. There's about 19 to 20 students enrolled. They're all from St. Helena, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 6 a.m., which is pretty early. But 6 a.m. Yeah, 6 a.m. And Principal Cinto commented that a lot of the students come from different backgrounds, different backgrounds, so which is interesting. And then the last thing we talked about was just need for the Avid tutors, which we discussed earlier.
Julio, I'm sorry, did you say it was called Call to Action?
Yeah, I think there's four videos, but the one we watched was Call to Action.
Okay,
so if
thank you.
Go to YouTube.
Sure.
Yeah.
YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube.
Excellent. Last one that met was LCAP Steering Committee, and that was on Thursday, October 18th. Either Julio or Lisa?
I was not present for that meeting.
Julio.
Go for it again. Yeah, so this one we did, the committee reviewed the student panel questions that the subcommittee put together. And so prior to presenting those questions to the committee, they were vetted by the student leadership group at the high school. And Principal Cinto said that they basically tore those questions apart, and they just really wanted to know what do we really want to ask them. So they were able to change some of the language in the questions, and were able to get that student voice within the questions, which I think is going to hopefully encourage students to really express themselves and answer honestly, so we get some really good feedback from them. Principal Cox also had a similar process at the RLS with the student council. And so there's different sets of questions for the RLS students and the high school students. And so with that one, the panels, the high school students will join us November 15th, and the middle school students are going to be joining us on January 24th. So hopefully you guys will be at those meetings. And it's going to be about 5 to 8 students for that. So I'm looking forward to participating and hearing from the students. With that one, the committee just made a few suggestions for additional questions, and then just some changes with the language in the questions. Another thing we did, we had another subcommittee make recommendations about the community input. And so basically the subcommittee came up with St. Lena Cafe. So this is basically the way to get the community engagement and input for the district mission, vision, and belief statement. And so what it's going to be a community event February 19th from 5:30 to 8. And it's going to be basically, she described it as a carousel brainstorming technique. So just tables with different groups of people and then rotating around and trying to gather information, generate new ideas. And it's going to be at the Native Sons Hall, hopefully, which I think it'll be good just to be somewhere outside of the district campuses. And I think it'll hopefully bring more participation and just more community engagement and just overall opportunity to celebrate the district afterwards. So I'm excited about that event, attending that event. And then I think that was, and then the principals reviewed their school site action plans and were able to share out areas of growth at each site.
Okay, just one clarification there. You back to the committee and the students talking, inviting people. When was that now, or when you?
Oh no, for this. Oh, well, just for the. Is that open to any, or is it just the LCAP committee? Right. For the
student panels are a part of the LCAP steering committee. We don't typically have those open to the public.
Right.
If members of the community want to join that committee, they certainly can by going on the district website or contacting Erica Madrigal.
Okay.
The outcome of that panel does include comprehensive notes that become available to all of our board members and also go on the district website. It is information that helps to drive our LCAP, our accountability plan for the future years.
Thank you.
Yeah, so where I was going with that is kind of where we ended up, is that we can't just all show up at that.
Okay.
Right. We'll get the information. But if you're on the committee, you're there.
Okay.
That's for Lisa.
Right.
Okay. I'm there. Thank you.
Does that concur? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Definitely don't want that. Okay. Let's see. We're down to item number 13E, which is superintendent's report. Julio, I thought you were going to take every one of our bullet items. But
I'm pretty sure that he
I know,
did.
I almost did.
That's okay, though. Do want to remind the board and the community that the Napa Film Festival is occurring throughout the county this week and weekend, and Trustee Haug was able to participate in a documentary with regards to science fairs. 1,700 science fair projects from high schoolers were a part of a documentary at an international science fair, and it is showing again on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. at the Lincoln Theater. There is a nominal fee for the film, and I'm told that it's really worth attending. So I would recommend, if you have the time, Saturday morning, head over to the Lincoln Theater at 10 a.m. Also want to remind the community that the District of Choice applications are due November 30th. That is time sensitive and time certain. The process will continue following the 30th of November with the lottery and whatnot. So please, if you're considering, please get those applications in. Veterans Day is on Monday. Veterans Day is on Sunday. We are observing Veterans Day on Monday, so there will be no school on Monday. I do also want to let the board know and the community know that we are continuing to monitor the air quality. We all know that it was not good today. Currently, at this very moment, with the air settling and the wind being still, the quality is even worse than it was earlier today. We will continue to monitor, and if it goes into those zones where we really just cannot have students in school, we will notify families in the morning. And then finally, I did also just want to give a shout out to the St. Helena Cafe. It is on February 19th, and Erica and I are working on RSVP invitations. We want to have more than 100 participants, and it will be space limited because we want to make sure that we have participants from each of our schools, students, employees, and parents and community members. So soon that will be pushed out. It'll be available on the website, and we'll be asking you, parents and community members, to sign up based on the school that they're going to be representing so that we have that distribution. So very excited. That will take place instead of the parent forums this year that typically occur in March. Because the questions that we'll be asking will not only help us to know about engagement and student achievement, it will also feed the information that we need to update our vision and mission statement.
Oops, thank you very much. We are on to item number 14, board-related items. This is 14A, information, discussion, and potential approval. So info action of the revision of board policies in November of 2018. Dr. Mary Lou Wilson, please.
Trustee Haug did a very nice job of explaining the changes to these 3 board policies. They are all recommended CSBA changes. In Board Policy 1400, you may recall at the last board meeting in Board Policy 1330, you moved the material around use of facilities for a polling place into 1330. So this revision deletes it from 1400. It also adds information on the expectation of collaboration with local government agencies. That was formerly in Board Policy 1020, and it's now being moved to 1400. So with those changes, it is recommended to update the policy as written. With Board Policy 2210, this is administrative discretion regarding board policies. There's some addition to the language that expects that the superintendent or designee will work in a non-discriminatory manner, and that there is a commitment to equity whenever possible, and that it also allows authority for the superintendent to address a situation when needed without prior approval from the governing board. When that's happening, the superintendent is using discretion and a commitment to equity. It also indicates that the accountability with regards to the superintendent, that guidance and information to the governing board will occur as quickly as possible. And with those changes, staff recommends the CSBA policy as written. And then finally, Board Policy 9310, which is all around board policies. I would like to compliment this board. You keep an active role in updating board policies. There's updated language that really covers the local control accountability plan, ensuring that the policies are in alignment with the district's vision and goals and the LCAP. In addition, that equity and equality with regards to board policies is addressed, that we're proactive, and that we're constantly doing updates, which we do. We can prove that. And then finally, that if one of our board policies is in conflict with state or federal law, that we acknowledge that quickly and make the appropriate changes. And then again, as Trustee Haug mentioned, AR 5117.1, we did continue the discussion. There is not a recommendation at this time. I will be bringing forward a recommendation in December to modify the AR, which, remember, the AR does not require a vote on your part. It's a modification that staff can make, and that would be a modification for the 1920 school year. And at this time, I would recommend those 3 board policies be updated as written.
Is there any public comment? Trustees, any questions or comments concerning the policy reviews? Are trustees comfortable with going forward with action to update these policies? Okay, is there a motion to approve the November 2018 board policy revisions?
I make that motion.
Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are down to item number 15A, future agenda items. December 13th is our next board meeting, and I do believe we have something earlier that day too, right? On the 13th, and we have a closed session that day?
Yes, we do. We have a closed study session.
Okay.
A closed board meeting, yes.
Right. Okay, so 2 things going on. that day. Would anybody like to add anything to the regular meeting of the board?
No. No, thank you.
Okay. I am down to item number 16A, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. End time is 8:07.